Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a while. It's been probably over a month, maybe almost 2 months since I've filmed, and I am just so excited to get back on it. We finally have enough sunlight and I have enough time in my schedule to film over the weekend, and I'm ready to come back with an empties video. So I have just over 2 months worth of makeup empties, and then I do have some perfume empties at the end. Some people have asked me to include my perfume empties even though I have stopped doing non-makeup empties, so I only focus on makeup in these videos now. I have 12 empties to go through, and it's a pretty even mix of eye products, lip products, and face products, and I will go in that order. And I am so excited to tell you that I have finished 2 eyeshadows, like finished them completely. And the first one was a matte cream eyeshadow from the Too Faced Natural Nudes palette. It was in the shade Swan, and I just used this to set my eyeshadow primer before I did my eyeshadow look. I prefer doing that, and I like using a shade that's a little bit lighter than my skin tone just to brighten that area up and create a nice clean canvas for whatever shadows I put on top and just give them a chance to pop. I don't really have a lot of matte cream eyeshadows left in my collection, so I did pick up a couple singles from the Huda Beauty collection, and I am glad to have those because I have a couple of different undertones to choose from, and they're easier to take with me when I'm traveling. This was a nice shade, but this is an older palette. I already have several pans in the shades. I've reached for it over 200 times. All right, I don't know if my camera is just getting old or what, but it'll just randomly shut off while I'm filming, even though I have full battery and everything is fine. So I'm not sure where that cut off, but I was saying that this is one of my oldest palettes, and the shimmer shades have not always been perfect or my favorite formula. Maybe they haven't changed that much, but my experience with shimmer shades has changed a lot since then. And so I just don't reach for those shimmers as much. They're not as impactful as I want them to be. The mattes are still stunning. So maybe that eyeshadow empty isn't as exciting because it's just a cream matte eyeshadow. But the other one I finished was a multi-chrome from Clionadh Cosmetics in the shade Ripple. This was a stunning, super glittery, I think it was a glitter multi-chrome. Yeah, the Clionadh website describes this as a glitter multi-chrome, and it says that it has a sheer aqua green base with large glitter particles that shift turquoise, indigo, and violet. And I don't know if I saw the indigo that much, but I definitely saw the purpley pink shift with that light blue base. It was gorgeous. I loved wearing it with purpley mauve shades in the crease, and I just so thoroughly enjoyed this. I wore it all the time, and it wasn't as hard to pan it as maybe some other eyeshadows are. And because it was a more chunky shade, I do feel like I went through it more quickly than other shadows. I feel like matte shadows take me forever to go through. This is one of my oldest eyeshadows, and I think this was like a free gift with purchase with a Clionadh order that I made years ago. So it's very satisfying to have gone through an entire single, and I really enjoyed it. And it's something I would consider buying again. There are a few Clionadh shades I have on my wish list, and I might throw this into my next order. That's probably not happening anytime soon, but I definitely still have it in the back of my mind. I also have a brow pencil from e.l.f., and this is the Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. I'm pretty sure it was in the shade Taupe, but it actually doesn't say the shade name on the packaging. It might have at one point, but it probably wore off. And what's interesting about this is I went through it so slowly. I wore this 137 times before it was finished. I had just the littlest bit of it left in the tube, and then I was using it for the last time, and that just broke off. I don't know where it went. Maybe if I had used a slightly gentler hand that day, I could have gotten a few more uses out of it. But 137 uses is pretty good, especially for it being a micro brow pencil. It's very, very thin, and so you can kind of use a lot of it every time. I really liked it, and it's like $6 at the drugstore. They have a pretty good shade range. Never mind, I said that, but they only have 4 shades on their website currently. So maybe it did at one point, and that's what I'm remembering, or I'm remembering incorrectly, but okay, never mind. 4 shades only. I liked it, but I was, I had been using it so much, it just became like a staple. And then once it was finished, I was ready to move on to the other brow pencils I have in my collection. I'm wearing the one from Ulta Beauty right now. This one is in the shade Taupe for sure, and this one's a little bit creamier, and I actually find that I don't like that as much. This one was just a tiny bit stiffer, and I feel like I had a lot more control over it, versus this one. It might be a better color match for me, but the formula is a little too creamy for my preference. So that was interesting. I would have thought in my head I preferred the Ulta one, but then once I actually wore them one right after the other, I realized that the e.l.f. one is actually the one I prefer more. So one of the many micro brow pencils that you can get at the drugstore. I've tried the NYX Micro Brow, I've tried the one from Milani, and you know, they all perform pretty well. I don't have super high maintenance brows. I just fill in some gaps here and there and then put a clear brow gel in. But even so, this was very good and I liked it and I would consider getting it again. I have two mascaras. I'm sure I've talked about the Pillow Talk Push-Up Lashes from Charlotte Tilbury before. I like that they sell minis of this. It makes it more affordable, and I really love the brush on this. It's flat, and then it has little spikes on either side, so you can build up product and then use those spikes to really brush through. And I think it gives a really beautiful, like, fanned out effect without depositing too much product. And the bristles are strong enough that I can actually brush through my lashes to evenly coat each lash and separate them. And I find that this doesn't make my lashes heavier throughout the day. It's not a gloopy formula. It just works really well for me. I would definitely consider getting this again. I've gone through multiples of these and I love it. And then this one from Huda Beauty, this is the Watch Me mascara. I purchased this myself when it first released, and the brush is so interesting. It's got like so many different things going on. It has a pointy end, and then it has like a fluffy part, and then a rubber bristle brush part too. I'm not sure how easy that is to see, but like you can see one side is more spiky and the other one is more fluffy. And in theory, I really did like the shape of the brush. However, there was so much product in the tube. It's a very wet formula and slightly heavy. And because of that, I feel like it did drag down my lashes a little bit. Yeah, I would wipe off my brush multiple times, and I do that sometimes for a lot of my mascaras. That's not really a big deal, but it just never really dried out. Even now, I've had this technically open for several months now, and it's still just as thick as it was before. And my lashes are very thin. They can't really handle that sort of weight. They get clumped up very easily with that sort of formula, so this wasn't really for me. I do really like the brush, the formula, not so much. Next up, I have 3 lip products. One of them I have gone through multiple tubs of this, I should say. It's the NYX hashtag This Is Everything Lip Loving Balm. I've been talking about this since the very beginning of my channel. It's been a staple, a long-term favorite. I have come across quite a few potted lip balms at this point. I've gotten some in PR. I've purchased a few of myself just to try other formulas, and so I don't need to run out and purchase this again, but I still think it's a really solid staple. It's not too thick, it's not too thin or oily. It's nourishing, it doesn't have any offensive scent or taste. It smells slightly sweet, but it doesn't have any strong taste to it. It's $5 and you get a ton of product. I think it took me over 200 uses to finish this. It's just a really easy thing to keep in my backpack or on my bedside. I'm always going to love this, and I think this is the last one I have in my collection. I had probably like 6 at one point because I would just buy them from the NYX website in bulk when they were on sale. So even though I'm not repurchasing it right now, it doesn't mean it's not a really solid product that I recommend. Another one I really liked is this Lawless Forget the Filler Lip Plumping Line Smoothing Gloss. I bought a mini, and this is the Rosy Outlook shade. It's not really a shade though, because even though it might have had a really slight pink tint to it, it didn't look like anything on the lips. What I really like about this is the fact that it's very thick and it stays on your lips. Not everybody likes that, but I really do. I felt like it helped keep my lips nourished. They didn't feel drier as it wore off, and it didn't wear off too quickly. Ideally, I would prefer this not to have a stinging feeling. It definitely has that like plumping effect to it, and I have found that all of the Lawless lip products I've tried so far, which is this gloss and the mask that's in the pot, they both have that tingly feeling. I've just decided to get over it because I don't mind that in the Charlotte Tilbury lip baths, and those are also some of my favorite formulas. So even though ideally I would prefer it not to have that stinging, tingly feeling, it's not so bad, it's not so painful that I wouldn't get this again. I thought this was really good. And I actually do have another full size of it that I got in PR, and it's one of the giant sizes. One thing I like about this line is they do have a mini, a regular size, and then they have a value size, which is 0.19 fluid ounces, and then the mini is 0.05 fluid ounces. So there's a pretty big difference between the two. And I do like that if you do like this gloss a lot, you can get it in a value size, or you can get a mini to just try it, which is what I did. It's funny, like a week after I finished this, I received this in PR, so it worked out really well. It's something I would have definitely considered repurchasing anyway, so it's always great when stuff like that works out. But again, if you are sensitive to that tingly feeling, you don't like that sensation, I do not recommend trying this. This next one is the Huda Beauty Silk Balm. I have the shade Blush, and this is the Hydro Plumping Lip Balm. I have a ton of thoughts on this. I have a lot of thoughts. So if you don't care about this product, I will put a timestamp or something for you to skip ahead, because I imagine I'm going to be talking about this for a couple of minutes. So it says Silk Balm on the packaging. I think that's a very accurate description of how it feels on the lips. It does feel very soft and silky and plush. I really liked that, and the first, I don't know, 50 times I wore it, I really liked it. It was just a really great balmy gloss to throw on. It was easy to bring with me. I would bring it with me when I was traveling. It was just very reliable, and it had a slight pinky peachy tint in the packaging, but again, it just looked clear on the lips, and it wasn't too shiny. It kind of just had more of like a balmy look on the lips. First, let's talk about the scent, because it didn't burn. It didn't have a minty plumping feeling on it, even though it says Hydro Plumping on the packaging. For me, I have a very, very distinct description of what this smells like. So walk with me for a second. Me, as a teenager, when I was younger, going to the local ice cream place or soft serve place and getting a blue slushie. And it's not like the fanciest slushie out there. It's maybe not even technically a slushie. It's just a cup, a styrofoam cup of really, really small ice cubes, and then they just pour a bunch of blue liquid in it. And that's the slushie. I'm drinking the slushie, and at some point, most of the blue liquid is gone, and it's mostly just the ice left in this styrofoam cup, with just a little hint of that blue liquid left over. That's what this smells like. The bottom of a blue slushie where you've already drank, where you have already ingested, where most of the blue liquid is gone and you just have mostly ice and styrofoam left. That's what this smells like to me. I asked my husband, I was like, James, what does this smell like to you? And he told me it smells like cookies. So those are incredibly different scent profiles, I think. And so I'm not sure if you have ever had this or come in contact with it. What do you think? Does it smell like cookies to you, or does it smell like the other thing? Anyway, like I said, I really liked this. I would have definitely considered purchasing this again if I could get it on sale, because it is, I think, like $26? $21. Okay, but even so, for just a clear gloss, I probably would have waited until it was on sale. However, I took the stop route and I started wearing it a lot more regularly because I only had a little bit left and I just figured I would finish it. Glosses get kind of messy after you take the stop route, and so once I take the stop route of a lip gloss, I usually just only reach for that so that I can finish it more quickly before it makes a gloopy mess. Once I started wearing it more often, I started getting a lot of sensitivity and irritation and swelling and redness and dryness and just a lot happening, to the point where I thought I was having an allergic reaction to something. And so in order to help my lips heal, I would continue reapplying this, thinking that this would help my lips. I thought maybe I had just gotten too much sun or something had happened that was irritating my lips, and that this was gonna help me repair them. So I started wearing this even more, and then my lips started getting even worse. And so I was like, okay, this might be the culprit, randomly out of nowhere, even though I've already worn it so much. So I stopped using it, and a week later, my lips were completely back to normal. And I tried to apply it one more time, and I immediately started feeling that burning again. And I was like, are you kidding? This was fine. The entire first two-thirds of the amount of product that I went through, I was so confused because it was fine for so long, and then towards the end I started getting that sensation, that reaction. And so I went to the Sephora website, I looked up this product, and I went to the reviews, and I filtered it by 1-star reviews. So I filtered it by the worst reviews, and the first 6 or 7 reviews I saw, almost all of them, maybe except for one, mentioned that people were having the same reaction to it. So it's not just me, it's not because it's an expired product, because I only just bought this in like October of last year. So I haven't even had it for 6 months. And the fact that other people are having that sensation too must mean that there's some ingredient in here that just doesn't agree with me. And so for that reason, even though I really liked it up until the very end, I know that this is not the right product for me and that I should not buy it again, and I can't recommend it to you for that reason. Who could have guessed that I would have so many strong feelings about a clear, balmy lip gloss? But here we are. I hope that was helpful for you. I hope you took something away that was valuable for you, considering how long you just heard me speak about this. And just to go back and give you some uses, I finished the Lawless lip gloss after wearing it 43 times, and I did take the stopper out. And then for the Huda Beauty gloss, I ended up wearing it 81 times. There is a little bit of product left in there. So I'm assuming if you take out the stopper like I did and use it all the way, you'll likely get probably around 90 to 100 uses. Now for face products, I have 4, and one of them is a smaller setting spray from NYX. It's the Matte Finish Makeup Setting Spray. I liked traveling with this because it's under the 3-ounce limit that a lot of airlines have on products. It's 2.03 fluid ounces, so it was like the perfect size to take with me. This is a nice everyday setting spray. I have special occasion setting sprays, like the Urban Decay All Nighter or the one from Charlotte Tilbury. And then I have other setting sprays that, again, are good for every day. I don't need my makeup to last 12 plus hours on a regular basis. And so I just like things to take down the powdery look and help a little bit with oil control, but I'm not expecting like the world of those products. And this was a really nice one. I definitely recommend it. When I think of drugstore setting sprays that I really like, I still really love the e.l.f. Micro Mist, the one in the green bottle. I think that's probably one of the best drugstore setting sprays I found for my skin type. But this is definitely still up there, and I really enjoyed using this. This took 45 uses to finish. I have a mini primer from Vive. You would have seen me do a full review of this in my full face of Vive video that I put up a few months ago. I did really enjoy it. This was a really great primer to wear in the winter when the air is really dry, and I prefer using something that's a little bit more nourishing versus a mattifying primer that I typically wear in the summer. In that video, I do a really close comparison of the Wonder Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. I think these are very, very similar primers, where if you have one, you likely don't need to purchase the other one, unless you just love having glowy golden primers, which is fine. I mean, I had both at some point, so I'm not gonna judge, but yeah, I do a side-by-side comparison of these two in that video if you'd like to hear more. I still prefer the Charlotte Tilbury one just a tiny bit more. I just think there's something in the finish and the formula of this that helps my makeup actually last a little bit longer, but this was still a really beautiful formula. I definitely recommend purchasing the mini if you're curious. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Probably not gonna buy it again. I'm pretty oily like all year round, except for like those really few dry months in the winter. And so just having one glowy primer is more than enough for me. And this one took 25 uses to finish. I have 2 powder empties, and these were both white looking powders that were translucent. One of them was loose and the other one was pressed. The NYX HD finishing powder, I ended up crushing it up and using it as a loose powder just because I tend to prefer applying face powder that way. If you're familiar with my powder preferences, I do like the RCMA No Color powder. I like that I can sort of buy it in bulk and it's relatively affordable. And if you apply a light layer, it doesn't really look like anything on your skin, but it still helps to take down any of the glow that I want to take down. It's really easy to reapply throughout the day, etc. I really don't have any complaints about it. It's not like super special. When I'm thinking of special occasion powder, I don't really have one in my collection, so I would probably just still reach for this one. But the Milk one was pretty good. It was definitely up there. I talked about this again in my full face of Milk video that I did earlier this month, and I had really good things to say about it, but for a $35 powder, it doesn't compete. It's not that much better than the RCMA one that it would be worth me spending that kind of money to repurchase this, but I did like it. I thought it was good. And this one took 89 uses to finish. The one from NYX took 21 uses to finish. It likely would have taken me maybe a little bit longer to finish if I had kept it pressed, maybe because you don't really pick up as much powder that way, but I had trouble getting like a face brush in this little pan to apply. Like, it just took forever for me to dip back in and apply. So I don't know, it might not have taken me more uses to finish if it was pressed. I'm actually not sure why I said that. Do you think pressed powders take you longer to go through or loose? I'd love to know. This one was literally just okay. I don't have anything negative to say about it, but I don't have anything super positive to say about it either. It was very much just like a run-of-the-mill setting powder, like kind of like how I feel about the Milk one. It's not so much better than the RCMA that it's worth repurchasing. So I don't know if that's like a super helpful review for you, but really I wasn't that impressed. I think if you are looking for, maybe a very affordable version of the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder, this one has a very similar look, and this one I think is like $30 something, and I think the mini of this, which is what this is, I think you can get it in a full size, but this is the mini. This was only $3.50. And so if you're trying to go for that type of powder to set your under eyes, set your concealer, and you don't want to shell at the $30, the NYX one might be a good alternative for you. I wouldn't say they're exactly the same. They're not dupes. I do think the Pat McGrath one is a higher quality powder, but if you're in a pinch and you need to get something that's more affordable, then this is a good alternative. And I think that this is what I chose to buy in my If All My Makeup Disappeared video that I did recently. Instead of getting the Pat McGrath one, I think I might have chosen to get this one. I did, yeah, because I was going to be purchasing everything all at once to replace my makeup collection, and so I needed one from every category. And instead of shelling out the big bucks for the Pat McGrath, I chose to buy the NYX one instead, only because I was already spending a lot of money and I wanted to keep it minimal. And just to give a little bit more information, the Pat McGrath one obviously has more product in it. This has 4 grams, whereas the mini from NYX has 2.8 grams. Anyway, that was a lot of information about a mini drugstore powder that I don't really have strong feelings about. So let's move on to the perfume portion of the video. I have 4, like I said, and I'm going to start with one of my favorites, which was this one from Pacifica. It's the Flower Moon perfume. And I pulled up all the notes on the Fragrantica website because I'm not very good at parsing out notes and stuff like that, so I thought I could give you some actual accurate information from the professionals. This is a really strong perfume. I'm surprised because I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is vegan. I guess I just have that assumption that vegan perfumes maybe don't last as long or they're not as powerful as other non-vegan perfumes, but this definitely was very strong. I wouldn't wear it every day because it is a lot, but I loved wearing this to the gym. I feel like it was strong enough to wear to the gym, and there was just something about it that smelled kind of like young and energetic, youthful, I should say. It had a little bit of a sweetness to it, and I really liked that. The main elements in this perfume are jasmine, peach, and vanilla with other white florals to add a slightly musky moment without the musk. Yeah, there's a little bit of a floralness to it, but there definitely is a sweetness to it. I don't really smell a lot of vanilla. Sometimes vanilla perfumes don't really work well on me, and I didn't notice that. So if there is vanilla in there, it probably either burns off quickly or it's really, really small amount in the perfume. And I think there is something about that jasmine note because there is also jasmine in my other favorite perfume I'm going to talk about today, and that's from Define Me, and it's the Aerial perfume. Number 1, the packaging is a 10 out of 10. It's gorgeous. It's got these beautiful oceanic elements to it, and the lid is a little seashell. Just so cute. But the scent is so beautiful. It's so unique. I've never smelled anything like it. And this one, I was surprised to look at the notes and see that it has a lot more floral aspects to it than I thought. Both the Flower Moon and the Aerial perfume are described as an amber floral fragrance. I think that might be the sweet spot for me because I don't like perfumes that are overtly floral. So whatever that amber aspect means, I think that might be what makes it work so well for me. This one also has jasmine in it. The top notes are neroli and bergamot. The middle notes are lilac and jasmine, and the base notes are coconut, driftwood, and tonka bean. And I don't know what driftwood smells like, but it works so well in this. It does give it a little bit of a beachy scent. This one does have a slightly stronger scent, definitely not as strong as the Flower Moon from Pacifica. and this one mellowed out really nicely. I just thoroughly enjoyed this. Both of these were absolute favorites, and I would definitely purchase these again. The next one I liked well enough to finish it, but I probably wouldn't buy it again. That's another Pacifica perfume, French Lilac. This one I think just had way more floral in it than I liked, and it did have a stronger scent, but to me it just like wasn't as good. I don't like the stuff that has too much floral in it. And this one, yeah, it's got lilac, hyacinth, heliotrope, magnolia petals, ylang ylang, and nectarine. I didn't realize it had magnolia in it because I normally really love magnolia, but I think it's being overpowered by all the other floral things in it. A perfume that I liked a little bit better was this Rollerball from Huda Beauty, and this is Honeysuckle Dream. I love honeysuckle and magnolia. Those are very nostalgic scents for me. I grew up with a magnolia tree in my yard. We always had honeysuckle bushes around, so I'm more likely to prefer those sorts of scents. But again, I'm learning that I don't like overtly floral stuff. And this one was also an amber floral. This one has pear leaf, black currant, bergamot, honeysuckle, lily and orange blossom, cashmere wood, sandalwood, and amber. Okay, so the Fragrantica website labels all three of these of my favorite perfumes as amber florals, and then the French Lilac from Pacifica is just labeled as a floral. This is a stronger perfume. Unless I'm wearing it to the gym, I do like a more mellow perfume, but honestly, I'm not really putting on a lot of perfume unless I'm leaving my house. You can definitely smell the honeysuckle, but there is a lot of other stuff happening in there too, and this was kind of like middle tier. French Lilac is at the bottom. This one is middle tier. If I could find it on sale again, I would likely repurchase it, but definitely these two are the clear winners. I would like to repurchase both of these once I go through some other perfumes in my collection, and I do have uses for all of these. So the Honeysuckle Rollerball took 51 uses to finish. The Define Me Ariel took 122 uses. The French Lilac took 52 uses, but I could probably get 1 or 2 uses more out of there. And then the Flower Moon actually only took 32 uses, which is surprising. I thought I got more uses out of it, but when I'm going to the gym, I do tend to apply more perfume than I normally do. So that does make sense, actually. But yeah, I'm just so glad to be filming again. I have missed it so much. I'm glad to be back. If you can believe, I actually thought I would be able to have a goal of making 10 videos a month, 4 or 5 full-length videos, and then 5 shorts or TikToks, and I just have not met that yet. I got really close in January. I did 9 videos in January, but then I only did 3 videos in February, and this is only my second video for the month of March. Probably not going to hit that 10 video goal, and that's fine. I'd rather just film when I am able to and when I have something that I think is worth sharing. I'm not just making content just for the sake of it. But yeah, I do have a lot more videos that I'm excited to start filming again, and so I hope you're cool with staying along for the ride, even though it's a little bit more of an inconsistent schedule. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me. I really mean it. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.